They said it would be a dream vacation. 7 days, that a luxury cruise through untouched waters of the South Pacific. Sunshine, cocktails, swimming in turquoise waves. They never expected the ocean to stare back. The departure. The Mariana Star, a gleaming white yacht, sat at dock under the blazing midday sun. Laughter echoed along the pier as dozens of tourists carried suitcases and beach towels, excited for a week of paradise. Among them was Elena Torres, a travel vlogger with thousands of followers, already live streaming her entrance. "Say hello to the Dream Cruise, guys," she beamed. "This ship is insane. Wait until you see the spa deck." Next to her, Mark and Riley, a honeymooning couple from Oregon, held hands and giggled like teenagers. "Just us, the sea, and no phones." Riley smiled. Finally, further down, a quiet man stood alone. Dr. Lyle Keller, a marine biologist, watched the horizon through dark glasses, clutching a leather-bound notebook. He didn't smile as the last bags were loaded. An old sailor near the dock, weathered face, eyes like stone, muttered to himself, just loud enough for a few to hear. "Don't go where the water turns black. That IT don't give back what it takes." The crew laughed it off. The engines hummed to life, and the Mariana Star set sail. Day 1, the welcome party. By nightfall, the ship was alive with music. That a welcome party glittered under string lights on the upper deck. Passengers danced, drank, and posed for selfies. The ocean sparkled like crushed sapphire under a full moon. Captain Harold Boone gave a speech firm-voiced and full of charisma. "We'll be charting deep waters not touched by commercial vessels. Real nature, untouched beauty." He raised a glass to discovery. Applause rang out. Elena caught it all on camera, but somewhere deep beneath the hull, a soundless pulse rippled through the black water. Something had noticed them. Below deck, a signal. In the control room, Engineer Sam Lynn frowned at the monitor. "Captain, sonar's acting up. That I am getting pings from something big, moving below us." Captain Boone walked over, squinting. "Whales too deep and too fast. The reading is off the charts." The signal vanished, then reappeared closer, then gone again. Boone shook his head. Must be a glitch. But Dr. Keller, listening from the shadows, scribbled something into his notebook. Midnight, a silent watcher. Around 2:00 a.m., the Mariana Star drifted into a patch of eerily calm water. And no waves, and no wind, just stillness. From the observation deck, Riley couldn't sleep. She leaned over the railing, staring into the dark ocean. Suddenly, she felt a presence, a pressure in the air. She whispered Mark, but he was still in bed. Then a glimmer, far below. Something massive shifted, a shadow moving, turning, and then a single, massive eye opened in the deep, a pupil the size of a dinner plate. Staring directly at her, she gasped and stumbled backward just as the sea surged. A sudden wave crashing against the side of the ship. By the time she called for help, there was nothing there, only silence and ripples. The first warning. The next morning, Riley insisted she saw something. Mark didn't believe her, neither did the crew. "You were probably dreaming," a crewman chuckled. "This part of the sea plays tricks on tired minds." But Keller approached her privately. "Did it look like this?" he asked, showing a sketch from his notebook. She paled. "It was the eye, exactly. The deep moves." That night, in the control room, Sam monitored the sonar again. The readings returned a shape massive, almost as big as the ship passed directly beneath them. It didn't just swim, it stalked. Sam grabbed the intercom. "Captain, we've got something." But before he could finish, every screen in the control room went black. And from beneath the ship, an unnatural groan echoed upward, not mechanical, not natural, but alive. They were not alone. And the ocean was watching. The sea gives, and the sea takes. But sometimes that what it takes that never belonged to it, and what it returns that I ask never whole. Morning disappearance. The sun rose slow and cold over the Mariana Star. Deckhands found a lone towel, .2 glasses of champagne, and a camera bag left abandoned near the stern. But no sign of Mark and Riley. Their cabin was empty, bed made, clothes untouched. Panic hadn't set in yet. People assumed they went for an early swim or a private excursion. But by breakfast, whispers had started. Elena streamed it live, of course. Something weird's going on, like they just vanished, and no one saw them leave. The security cameras are glitching. 2. This is not normal. Down in the engine room, Sam was working double time. Communications had been failing since last night. Radar was inconsistent, and every now and then the hull vibrated, almost like something brushed against it. The search begins. Captain Boone ordered a full ship-wide search. Every deck, every cabin, every hallway. This isn't a joke. He barked. .2 people missing is too many. But no footprints and no signs. Just a couple's flip-flops, sitting side by side on the edge of the rear deck. They asked if they had calmly stepped out of them. Keller took a water sample near the stern. The IT was cold, far colder than the surrounding ocean, almost icy. And inside the sample, a long, translucent strand of something organic. That IT pulsed slightly in the vial, as if still alive. Distorted footage. That afternoon, Elena convinced the ship's IT technician to let her review the security footage. And what they saw chilled them. The camera caught Mark and Riley walking onto the deck at 1:47 a.m., laughing, kissing, sitting together, then suddenly static. When the feed returned 30 seconds later, the deck was empty. No splash, no struggle, just gone. But in the final second before the distortion, one frame stood out, a massive shadow rising behind them, and the hint of something wet, scaled, and black curling along the edge of the railing. Denial and doubt. Captain Boone refused to acknowledge anything unnatural. We're not going to panic people over blurry footage. We're in deep waters. Maybe a rogue wave took them. Maybe they jumped, we keep moving. But fear was already spreading. One passenger refused to leave their cabin. Another began praying at sunset. And the bartender, a former Navy diver, whispered to Keller, "I've seen things in open water that make grown men scream in their sleep. That thing on the tape, that was no fish." Nightfall, it returns. The second night fell. Fog drifted in unnaturally fast, thick, heavy, swallowing the sky. The ocean was flat. No sound but the dull hum of the ship's engines. And then something brushed the hull again. Louder this time. Metal groaned. Sam checked the sonar. A shape. Bigger than before. Slower. Closer. IT was circling. Keller joined him, staring at the screen. It's not migrating. It's not swimming. It's watching. Suddenly, alarms blared. A lifeboat, Boat 3, had been manually detached and was floating half a mile away adrift. The lifeboat. A rescue team was deployed. They reached the small boat in silence, cutting through the thick fog. The sea was eerily calm. Inside the lifeboat they found one person. The bartender. He was supposed to be asleep in his cabin. Now he sat drenched, trembling, clutching his knees. His fingernails were broken, his eyes hollow. His lips quivered as he whispered over and over, "It has arms. Arms like rope. Cold as ice. And it sees through your skin." He wouldn't speak again. They brought him back aboard, but he never left. The infirmary after that. Keller stood silently beside him, then looked out at the ocean and said softly, "It didn't take him to kill him. IT let him live. So we'd know." Down below, in the deepest part of the ocean beneath them, something stirred at a heartbeat that did not belong to any man or beast, a pulse that echoed through the sea floor. The sonar picked it up again. Louder. Clearer. IT was rising, and from deep below, in the trench where no light reaches, Diane I opened. They thought they were just passing through, but the ocean had already chosen them, and it had only just begun. In deep waters, the rules of the surface no longer apply. Sound moves slower, time feels stretched, and the deeper you go, the closer you are to things not meant to be seen. Emergency meeting. Morning came like a bruise. The fog hadn't lifted. Captain Boone gathered the senior crew, Keller and Elena, in the dining hall. The mood was grim. .1 missing couple. .1 catatonic crew member. Equipment failing. Communication down. Boone recited coldly. We're turning back. Heading for land. Keller shook his head. No, we're not. Everyone stared. Check the GPS. We've been drifting since 2:00 a.m. We've lost power to the rudder. Engines are operational, but we're not going anywhere. Sam confirmed it. Propellers are turning, but the ship isn't moving. IT was like something was holding them in place. Trapped. Elena, more serious than ever, pulled out her drone. Let me fly it out. Maybe I can find a way to get a signal. She launched it off the top deck. The drone climbed quickly above the fog. Then, without warning, the feed cut to static. When the drone came back manually, it was wet. Its propellers bent inward. Something hit it, she whispered. Something big below deck. The bartender who had been found in the lifeboat now scribbled endlessly onto a napkin. The words repeated. The eyes under US, the eyes under US. The sonar map. Keller and Sam returned to the sonar room. This time they saw it. Not just a shape, a pattern, that a massive entity was circling the ship, that IT wasn't random, that IT was hurting them, confining them to a precise position. Keller whispered, "It's intelligent." Then he pulled out a chart. .1 head kept hidden. Years ago, there were story ships lost in this region, theories of deep-sea megafauna, predators older than time. The trench beneath us, it's over 11,000 meters deep, and no one's mapped it fully, because the last expedition that he paused didn't return. Descent attempt. Desperate for answers, they deployed a small tethered probe, a deep-sea camera pod, to explore the trench below. As the camera descended, the light slowly faded. Fish scattered. Pressure distorted the feed. And then, the camera stopped, not by technical failure, but because something large had moved in front of it, blocking the light entirely. Not just large, colossal. Then a blurred flash of movement. The camera was pulled downward at terrifying speed. The cable snapped. Sam whispered, "It's hunting blind tech. IT doesn't want us seeing below." Elena's stream. That night, despite warnings, Elena went live again. I am not leaving this story. Something's down there, and we deserve to know that if anything happens to me, I want people to know where to look. Halfway through the stream, the lights around her flickered. Her viewers, what little signals she had commented in panic. "Behind you." Something in the FOG. IT moved. She turned. Nothing, just shadow. But as she zoomed in with her camera, a silhouette flickered in the mist. Something humanoid, standing unnaturally tall at the edge of the deck. Then the feed cut out. She screamed. A survivor's truth. Elena survived. The figure was gone, and no one else saw it. But in the infirmary, the bartender who hadn't spoken in 2 days finally whispered that IT takes shapes, that IT wears memories, that IT mimics the lost, to lure the living. Everyone froze. "Riley," he said. "She didn't disappear. She walked back, but it wasn't her anymore." Keller turned pale. "We're not dealing with an animal." He reached into his notebook and flipped to a page, an ancient carving from an underwater ruin discovered decades ago. The carving showed a ship, surrounded by tentacles, and passengers walking overboard with blank eyes, smiling. The chant. That night, the fog thickened. The ship's intercom system turned on. No one had touched it. From it came a sound, not speech, but a chant, wet and slow, like something speaking through waterlogged lungs. Passengers gathered, terrified, from the lower decks. The bartender laughed once and then fell silent forever. It's not just a beast. It's a memory that a ritual that a watcher of the deep. And now it has their names. Fog is supposed to be empty, just mist, just air. But when the fog watches back that you are no longer alone, the fog descends. The Mariana Star awoke to a world choked and grayed at a dense, suffocating fog blanketed everything bow to stern, top to bottom. That IT wasn't natural, that IT didn't move with the wind, that IT hung heavy, moist, and full of silence. Even voices sounded different in it, dull, muffled off. Keller stood at the deck rail, staring out. It's like we're trapped in something's lungs above. The sun was completely gone. That ANO light broke through the ANO horizon, just fog. Whispers on deck. By mid-morning, passengers began hearing whispers, soft at first, then clear. Voices, familiar ones. "Mark," Elena called, spinning in the mist. "Mark, is that you?" But Mark had vanished 2 days ago. Footsteps echoed across the wood. Wet, bare feet. Yet no one was there. Several tourists began reporting strange sounds, whispers calling their names, or laughter from empty corridors. That I in cabin 12. A woman screamed when she saw her own reflection smile back at her even though she wasn't smiling. Disappearances multiply. 2 more guests went missing by lunch. The retired couple who had been playing chess on the sun deck. Their pieces were still mid-game. Drinks full, chairs slightly pushed back, as if they'd stood up, and stepped into the fog. Keller searched the deck and found footprints. Not the couple's. They were larger, longer than any human foot, and they were webbed. The rescue boat. Out of desperation, Captain Boone launched a rescue boat with 4 crew to search the surrounding area. They were given walkie-talkies and flares, and they disappeared into the wall of gray. 10 minutes passed. Then static. 1 flare fired in the distance, but when they found the boat, it was drifting, empty. Inside lay one of the crew's radios still on, playing a voice, distorted and inhuman, repeating, "You are below, below, below." The passenger who came back. As night approached, someone rang the emergency bell. A woman was seen walking toward the ship from the FOG. It was Riley. She looked soaked, barefoot, eyes glassy. Her skin was pale blue, but she was breathing, smiling. She didn't speak. Captain Boone tried to question her. Elena cried in relief until Keller yanked her back. "Look at her arm," he hissed. There was a scar one Riley had never had before, and her teeth seemed sharper. Riley was taken to the infirmary. She sat silently, hands folded occasionally, turning her head toward the window as if listening to the sea. The hallucinations began. That night, half the crew refused to sleep. Those who did woke up screaming. 1 claimed their bed filled with water. Another dreamed of a giant face pressed against the hull, lips whispering ancient words through metal. Keller heard a voice to his late wife's. She whispered from the fog, promising he could see her again, that if he just stepped over the edge. Dr. Keller's theory. Keller gathered the remaining sane passengers. He showed them old maps, deep sea markings, sonar patterns. This fog is not weather. It's defense, that camouflage that IT wants to separate us, confuse us, feed on us. He pointed to ancient symbols drawn by pre-oceanic cultures. They called it the sleeping one, that a god below, that a mind made of many mouths. Elena frowned. "And what about Riley?" Keller was grim. "That's not Riley, it's a mask." The face in the fog. Near midnight, a scream echoed from the upper deck. When the passengers arrived, the fog had cleared just enough to reveal something. A face, not on the ship, floating in the mist the outline of a massive head, half human, half lizard-like, its closed eyelids stretching dozens of feet across. The mouth curled into something like a grin. Then it vanished. The fog rolled in again, thicker, wetter, heavier with the weight of something waking up. That IT wears their faces, that IT knows their names. And now it's inside the ship. Some things were never meant to be seen, and when they rise, the world changes. The calm before the horror. The fog was gone by morning. Not slowly it vanished, as if yanked away by unseen hands. Clear skies returned blue, innocent, too innocent. Birds circled above. Dolphins followed the hull. Passengers cheered, some thought they'd escaped. But below deck, Keller was sweating, studying sonar charts. "This isn't over," he muttered. "It's a trick to the calm before the ritual." A strange celebration. That afternoon, Captain Boone organized a mandatory group activity to ease nerves. Music played, drinks flowed, but Keller noticed something chilling. Riley, the woman who came back, was on deck, and another Riley was sitting in the dining hall, point two of her. Both silent, both smiling. "It's duplicating us," Keller whispered to Elena, "that it's learning how to be us." A shadow rises. Just before sunset, the sonar alarm screamed. Sam sprinted to the bridge. "Something's coming up from the trench. Fast." They watched in horror as the sonar returned a reading larger than anything they'd ever seen. Larger than the ship. Multiple tendrils, segments. Massachusetts. One phrase appeared on screen. "Contact imminent." The ship rocked violently. People screamed. Then silence. The surface breach. The water behind the ship exploded. Passengers ran to the railings and gasped. A tentacle rose first, thick as a tree trunk, black and slick, dripping with brine. IT reached high into the sky, then slammed down, splintering the upper deck. Then another, and then IT rose to titanic shape, not entirely cephalopod, not quite reptile surfaced, its head covered in ancient coral and barnacles. Rows of bioluminescent eyes blinked in patterns. That a scream, not mechanical, but biological, shook the entire ship. Everyone scattered. The creature didn't attack. Not YET. Was observing. The lifeboat attack. One of the remaining crew members launched a lifeboat, trying to escape. They didn't get far. The creature turned its massive head, saw the boat, and from beneath the surface, a long tendril shot up, grabbing it midair like a toy and pulling it straight down. The sea boiled red. All that remained was a torn orange life jacket, bobbing in silence. Symbols of the past. Back in the lab, Keller scanned photos from his field research. He compared the creature's markings with glyphs carved on ancient Pacific stone tablets. The symbols matched. It's not a monster. It's a sentinel, a guardian, worshipped by civilizations that no longer exist. Elena shook her head. "Then what's it guarding?" Keller looked at her, voice cold. "Whatever's beneath it. Chaos and collapse." The ship's hull began to buckle from pressure below. Water surged through the lower levels. Screams echoed as passengers tried to reach safety. But the ship listed to one side. Overhead, the creature let out another deep groan. This one resonated through the metal of the ship itself. Lights flickered. Systems failed. One final sonar pulse revealed something worse. The creature was not alone. The message. As passengers fought to seal the lower decks, Sam played back the sonar transmission. It wasn't noise. IT was a signal. A pattern. A message. Keller translated the final phrase. "Above walks prey, below waits God." Just then, a second shape emerged in the distance, smaller, faster, covered in jagged, bone-like fins. Then a third. The trench had opened, and something was rising to meet them. IT was never just one. The ocean doesn't hold a monster. IT is the monster. Some truths are buried for a reason. Some knowledge was never meant to rise. And when it does, the sea does not forget. The final descent. The Mariana Star was dying. Decks flooded. Steel groaned. Passengers screamed as the vessel tilted dangerously to one side. Below deck, Keller, soaked in blood and seawater, clutched a waterproof case containing ancient texts and sonar maps. Elena dragged him forward. "We have to get off the ship." But Keller refused. "If we leave now, it follows us. We have to finish this." We have to see that a nearby crew member had one last option. A mini-submarine, built for emergency deep-sea dives. 0.1 pod, 0.3 seats. They climbed in, Keller, Elena, and Sam, and descended down into the trench. The city. At 4,000 meters, the sea was black. The only light came from the pod's lamps, and from below, at 86,000 meters, they saw a city. Not built by men, not even by time. Sprawling black pyramids, endless towers made of coral and bone, symbols glowing faintly on every surface. And in the center, a massive stone gate, chained shut by rusted obsidian links, pulsing like a heartbeat. Sam whispered, "This isn't ruins, it's a prison." The sleeping one. As the sub approached the gate, something stirred. The ocean began to vibrate. From the shadows, the Guardian appeared, the creature they'd seen before. Now clearer, more terrible. It was kneeling before the gate, protecting it. Suddenly, the sonar pinged. A new shape appeared inside the stone gate, 0.10 times larger than the Guardian. Unmoving, but alive. Keller stared at the readings. "It's asleep. It has always been asleep." The revelation. Keller opened the case and held up one of the texts written in ink, older than recorded language. "This thing, the one inside, it dreams the sea. It dreams reality. When it wakes, the world becomes what it remembers." Elena shook her head. "You knew. You brought us here. I needed proof. And now we have it. The ocean is not hiding monsters. It is being dreamed by one." Suddenly the gate shuddered. Cracks formed in the obsidian. Something inside was stirring. The sacrifice. The Guardian screeched, coiling around the gate to contain it. Its tentacles glowed, ancient runes lighting up along its skin. Sam screamed, "We have to go, it's waking." But Keller stayed behind. "It needs a watcher, a seal, a Guardian." Just like before, he opened the sub door, water rushing in. "Tell the world, or better, don't." Elena cried out as the pod ascended, leaving Keller behind, drifting toward the gate. He reached out with his hands, and the creature touched him back. 1 year later, cut to a new luxury cruise ship sails across the Pacific. Families laugh. Tourists sip cocktails. Elena walks among them. She's quiet, pale, changed. She drops a waterproof case overboard. It sinks deeper and deeper. The sonar operator on the bridge frowns. "Huh, weird reading." "Just ignore it," says a new captain. "It's nothing below." In the trench, the chains still pulse. The Guardian sleeps. And from within the stone gate, a single crack glows. Just a sliver of a lid. Just the edge of an eye. Still closed for now. The ocean did not forget. It only waited. And now it dreams again. If this tale sent chills down your spine, imagine what's coming next. Don't forget to like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more nightmares from the deep. We're just getting started.